Okay, we're gonna do something a little different here. Hopefully I'm in frame. So, anybody who watches the channel has seen Tulip the Jersey cow. Today we are going to make cheese curds. So I've got a couple of gallons of milk here. Yesterday's model. So we'll shake it up. If you haven't watched the channel and you don't know that we have a Jersey cow, start watching the channel, subscribe, like the videos. This is going to be very difficult for me. I'm used to like filming old tractors cutting hay and things like that. I'm not sure what my one-handed cheese making is gonna be like. So we got stainless pot here, making small mess. So that's at refrigerator temperature, and we shook it up to get the cream back inside of it, and we will mop up the small mess I made. So that gives you a little bit of working room in that pot. I don't know, I think that's a 2.5 gallon pot. Just your basic stainless pot. We'll put a little bit of heat on it. I think this is going to be a tough video for me to edit because we got lots of waiting time in between things. But I'll give you the basics, and I'll try not to yak too much, make this too long. So we got 2 gallons of milk, stainless pot. We're going to heat it up now, 90 degrees. This is a basic farmhouse cheddar recipe, and we're just going to eat it as fresh cheese curds instead of pressing it and waxing it and all of that monkey business. I'll make some in the winter. The best blue cheese I have ever eaten, I made, no kidding. You know, normally you make something and you compare it to something else, and you're like, yeah, you know, mine was okay, but it's not a whatever. Well, my blue cheese is better than anybody's. So I haven't made any in a couple, well, yeah, one winter. Never made any last winter. So I normally don't do that. It takes too long until you get later in the year. Wintertime, I got time for things like this. But gonna heat this up to 90 degrees, not too fast. We don't want to scald the bottom, that sort of thing. Stir it a little bit, bring it back, and we'll go to step 2. Alright, without getting a GoPro in the milk, there we got 90. Been stirring it a little bit, and so just use those little thermometers. Now what we have here, some mesophilic starter. Mesophilic is the culture that is used in a lot of cheeses. So we'll sprinkle it on the top here. I use it for cheddar and Colby, which Colby is a washed curd cheddar. Monterey, most of your hard cheeses that. So what we'll do is we'll stir this in. And that was a pretty good shot of starter. That stuff's been in the freezer a little while, since I haven't made cheese for a while, but it'll come to life and start working. So, put a lid on it. It's fairly warm here in the kitchen, so we don't really need to let it sit on a burner, so we'll let it sit behind there. And we will wait 45 minutes. If anybody hasn't noticed, I like cast iron. All other pots are awful, and cast iron's the best. So we'll go maybe watch a couple of our favorite YouTube channels if somebody put up anything new. And we'll let this sit about 45 minutes. And then we'll be back. Alright, well, we got about 45 minutes on the culturing here. It's starting to smell like the culture is working. So we got a quarter of a rennet tablet, vegetable rennet tablet, which is what sets your curd, makes the milk set up. So we'll pour that in. We got it with about a quarter of a cup of water. Get that in there. And then we'll give it a little stirring. Stir about a minute. And with fresh milk, you should top stir for a little bit because the cream does still want to rise and separate. You don't want it floating on the top where it's not doing you any good. So you want it to become part of the curd down in there. So give it a little gentle stirring. Then we'll let it set up for about another 45 minutes or so. Let it coagulate and we'll see where we're at that point. So cheese making is a good project for a cold and snowy winter day. Not in the summer when you're trying to do some other stuff, but figured it was alright to make a cheese making video this afternoon. Plus in the winter the cow's components go up. You'd think you'd be best off on fresh grass. I mean, you get nicer yellower butter in the summer, but cows eating silage bales and hay and whatever, you get less volume and higher components. At least the way we do it. So there we go. We'll let that set up. Give it another 45 minutes or so. We'll come back and cut the curd. Alright, so we should have a good curd here. So we'll apply this dangerous knife somewhere in the neighborhood of ½ inch. Fat on that one. Watching what I'm doing instead of what I'm filming. See, it's cutting up into nice little curd blocks. Alright, then, so you should have like columns of curd in there. You try to follow the same, kind of follow the same lines at an angle like this so you get them cut off into pieces. And you always end up with some long ones on the bottom. And then you gotta turn it. Try to cut it this way. And I've done some really, where you want it really fine, I've used a whisk. Cut up your columns and then whisk it a little bit. You get like 1/4 inch pieces. Alright, so now we got that. Oh, speck of something. We don't want specks. So now we're going to put a little, we'll stir our curds up here. Starting to smell like green cheese now. It smells really good. So what we want to do now is we want to let these harden up a little bit. And we're going to hang them in a cheesecloth later. And they'll kind of stick together. But for now, we don't want them to be all clumpy. We put a little bit of heat on. Just turn the stove on low. And we're going to start to reheat this way. Which, let's see where we're at here. Mm, 80. Yeah, we lost very little heat. Still at 90. Cheese doesn't lose heat very fast in a pot, so we're at 90. We want to get it around 100, just over 100. We'll stir the curds occasionally, so they don't get too matted together, and that'll start to harden them up. Pushes out some more whey out of the curd. Next time we come back here, we'll have a lot more liquid, less solid. It'll be sunk to the bottom. They'll start to harden up. So I'll just let it go by here. I'll stir them occasionally and let it warm up. And then we'll go on to the next step. Okay. So we warmed it up. Been stirring every 5 minutes or so for half hour. Focusing all right, yeah. So see, the curds have toughened up a bit. A lot more liquid per. So they're looking good. Smells good. This is gonna be impossible. Here, let's. Oh, look at that dish rack. I should have cleaned that out. Here we go. Now, we're gonna pour our curds into the cheesecloth lined colander. Don't yell at me for pouring this way down the sink right now. I don't have any pigs at the moment. I'm pigless. Couple of stray curds in there. So what I gotta do now is I'm gonna hang that up over the sink. I had a setup once, I don't remember what I did. But I will come up with something and we're going to drain it for about an hour, and then we're going to break it up into curd-sized chunks, salt it, stick it in the fridge. Culture will still kind of start working slow. You could eat them right away. I'd eat them right away. Sure, I'll try one. But they'll be best when they sit for a day, maybe 2 days. So we'll get them draining, and we'll bring you back when we break them up and salt them and make cheese curds out of them. All right, there we go. We hung it off the door handle. So it's drizzling away there, way run it out of it. By the way, it's 80 degrees outside and 80.4 in the house. So we'll let it drain there an hour or so. Okay, so we hung our cheese an hour, and it's fairly firm. I was thinking we might have to press it between a couple of cutting boards to get it where we wanted to, but this one-hand stuff is a lot of fun. Here, we're gonna get this looks sketchy. Tripod's not behaving. Okay, there we go. So we got some pieces there. Squeeze the rest of the way out of it and make like a regular cheddar out of it. So let's see, we got little canning salt here. Takes a fair amount of salt. Then we'll salt it around in there. So there we go. We'll try a little piece. Yep, that's good, all right. So I'll just let this, I'll cover this and let it sit for a little bit. Let the enzymes keep working and the salt get into it, and then into the fridge it'll go. I don't know if I had the camera turned where you could even see me there, but we'll call that a cheese curd making video. I know what I'll be eating at work tomorrow. Okay, so there's plenty of other kinds of cheese I can make. Maybe this winter. I do intend to do rather popular around here, the Finnish squeaky cheese, which is actually baked after you set the milk. Squeeze the whey out of the curd, actually put it on a broiler and stick it under the broiler. I'm going to do one of those just to show you what that's like, but there we go. I bet you this video is pretty long, but if you've made it this far, thanks for watching it all the way through. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it. You know, I've been thinking about what we can do with this channel. It's a lot of stuff I do besides farming. You know, I can't, and I'm not trying to compete with the big guys as far as farming content. I mean, we got small machinery and small fields, and so do a lot of other people, so I hope they enjoy that. But we can cure ham, we can cure bacon. Our gardening efforts are terrible this year, mainly due to how wet it was this spring, but hopefully we can go back to doing a little more on that. Who knows? We also make a fair amount of sausage from time to time, so we'll try to mix it up a little bit to maybe expand the viewer base a bit. I mean, we still intend to be a small farm channel, but lots of stuff on a small farm. So there we go, and thank you very much for watching.